Hi everyone. This is Ashish here, and I'm going to talk today about stakeholder engagement. Uh, a very interesting topic as such, a very broad topic, and I welcome you all for the ProThoughts webinar. Thank you for joining the webinar. Uh, right, so a little about me. Okay, so let me. So just a little rules here. If you have to point out anything, you can just raise your hand. Okay, there is an icon here, you can press on that, or you can ask questions by clicking here and I can get some questions answered. Okay, so you can interrupt me at any point during the webinar. I don't mind that. But I have some questions, kind of I take a little higher amount of time on question and answer, so around 20 minutes at the end for question and answers. So if you have any questions, it's an open topic, a very broad topic. No, let's see how it goes. A little about me. I am one of the directors at ProThoughts, and it is something we are very passionate about. And we started ProThoughts with a focus on project management. We only tend to do that. So we provide you learning solutions. We provide you a lot of content on project management, and we do a lot of courses which are on site physically. We deliver courses in 5 cities. Plus, we do corporate trainings, of course. Plus, we are starting with our online courses as well. And also, we indulge in implementing project management software for our clients as well. Besides that, we do consulting as well. And I have been a project management practitioner as well as I love this subject and like to talk, like to write papers on project management, and that's how I am part of ProThoughts. So let's go into a little deep dive into what we are going to cover for today. We are just going to talk a little about stakeholders. What is this project success? When we talk about stakeholders or ultimate key to project success, uh, I'm going to talk about a little of my experiences in the government projects. Um, okay, then we're going to talk about some tips for influencing stakeholders. Sorry, and we are going to talk about how to influence stakeholders to enhance project success, and then probably summarize, and then we have questions and answers. Okay, like I said, a stakeholder is a pretty broad topic. A lot of things can be covered with stakeholders. Sorry, I usually tell in my class that stakeholder is a very important knowledge area of project management. It is important because these are the people. Okay, these are the human resources with a lot of power, and they can make or break your project. So stakeholder engagement, I'm not going to use the word management because it sometimes sees that we are kind of in control with the stakeholders. I think how to engage with them, build a rapport and a trust, so that it's their project. We are just going to help them achieve the value that they want. So it's their project. We have been assigned, given authority to execute that. It's just that we need to take them to the goal. So it's their project, that I'm going to repeat this quite few times, that we are going to help them achieve their objectives. Okay. For some people who are on the call, they know me and they know ProThoughts. But for some people who do not know ProThoughts, we are actually one of the fastest growing project management training provider as per PMI, and we have you know, got some recognitions by leading media agencies, etc., in India. Uh, so So we operate in 5 cities, even in Middle East right now, but we aspire to be, globally omnipresent. Uh, what ProThoughts does, I already told you. Okay, we have our motto called "Succeed with your projects." That's one of our motto. So we want to. Our vision is to do everything in project management. Um, since we are going to talk on stakeholder engagement, it is more or less okay aligned. My whole discussions are aligned with PMI knowledge. Okay, and I would talk about Prince 2 as well, but it's mostly aligned the material with the PMI, and the PMI was a non-profit organization headquartered in USA, and they talk about some good practices about stakeholder and other knowledge areas of project management. Yeah, there are some people more joining. Okay, welcome you all. Okay, we have already started the session, and we are going to, just for some of you who joined late. Okay, we are talking about the agenda. Okay, and this is it. What we are going to talk about. What are stakeholder success? I'm going to talk about some of our experiences in influencing the stakeholders. Okay. So project stakeholders, like I said, are one of the very important, okay, cogs of the wheel of project management. Um, Stakeholders are the ones who define the scope. It's not the project manager. Uh, Stakeholders decide what they want from the project. So it is the project's manager's responsibility to take care of each and every stakeholder associated for project. So right from identifying as much as possible, it's not humanly possible to identify each stakeholder, but as much as possible, he identifies at the start, the better it is for the project. So who are stakeholders? Uh, Generally, I answer a very simple answer is whoever holds a stake in the project. It might be people who are involved in the project. It might be people who are affected by the project, who impact the project, who influence the project. And in other words, whoever has the stake in the project become a stakeholder. Okay. Uh, so if you have a very large project, generally there is a core strategy team who is organizing, planning, and controlling the project. And then there are a project team who does the implementation of the work. Okay, if you're constructing a smart city, the Niti Aayog in India, okay, is becomes the planning arm of India, becomes your organizing or the planning or controlling things. Okay, they engage who should be doing the thing. Can a Japanese consultant doing the blueprint? Can I have an American consultant doing the architecture? They decide a lot of things on the planning aspect. Okay, and they generally subcontract it to another person. Okay, which becomes the L&T or whoever who will actually do the project work. Okay, so Niti Aayog, the chairman, becomes the project manager, and the project team is somebody who actually does the work. So L&T as a contractor can subcontract it to different other vendors to do the work. Sometimes we think L&T is the project manager because they are actually calling the shots on the ground, but the project manager remains the Niti Aayog in construction of the smart city. Okay. there can be n number of people who will get affected by the project in terms of a Niti Aayog smart city project, which is a very mega project. It first might be the government officials, there can be a lot of politicians, there can the other people who gets affected by the smart city will be the people surrounding in that area, residing in the area. It can be a positive as well as a negative impact. The people who are staying there, their lands can be taken away, negative impact, but people who are staying there might get employment or can see a rise in their prices, can be a positive impact. So the project can impact stakeholders negatively as well as positively. So for a mega city project, there can be n number of stakeholders who can get affected by the project. All people who hold a stake in the project become a stakeholder. Okay. After establishing this definition of stakeholder, okay, no, we have done a kind of a communications project, okay, for someone, and I had taken some notes of that project. So this were the different stakeholders. So we have bifurcated the different stakeholder as in a very basic fashion. Okay. We can actually do a lot of identification of stakeholders, a lot of models through which we can identify. One is the simple power interest grid, okay, and it tells you the degree of authority the stakeholders have in terms of power and interest. There can be another model called salience model, which tells you who are my dominant or demanding stakeholders in terms of the legitimacy, in terms of the power, or in terms of the urgency. Okay, so there are different models through which you identify stakeholders. My stakeholder is such a broad topic that you can cover 8 hours, which I had done. But for 1 hour, I'm going to squeeze a lot of information in that 40 minutes that we are going to have today. Uh, so, so here you can identify stakeholders through various means. Okay, in PMI, in the PMP curriculum, we use the power interest grid, where we have on x-axis the power, okay, and on y-axis the interest. The high power, high interest stakeholders are the key stakeholders where the project manager should spend a lot of more time than the other stakeholders probably. Okay, so these are the different stakeholders. So the other part, because our definition today is stakeholder, the ultimate key to project success. So project success typically, from a project manager's point of view, is defined as within scope, time, and budget. Okay, this is a very traditional definition, and it's so true for the project manager. So that's obvious, right? There is cost and quality as well, and there are other constraints as well. But this is a traditional definition of a good project manager. Okay, now as long as he does this within scope, time, and cost, that's a good project. Uh, just some statistics that I have got is that 68% of the projects failed or challenged. So there has been, if I have to take the data over the last 10 years, okay, the data is more or less the same. Okay, there has not been a significant improvement in the way the projects have been worked out, or there has not been a significant decrease or anything. That leads me to think about two things: either the way we measure the projects, the metrics are wrong, or okay, the way we do projects is wrong. One of the two. Okay, so I think the metrics is wrong, or the projects that we do is wrong. So let me put another slide on that. Okay, so one of my new definitions of success is that uh, when the stakeholders receive the perceived value. Okay, I would determine if the stakeholders say that I get what I want from this project. And generally, we have observed that the stakeholders does this after an afterthought. So after the project is over, as an afterthought, they realize, okay, this project gives me the perceived value. Okay, at that time, the stakeholders tend to ignore the small escalations or even the bigger one, as long as it delivers the perceived value. Okay, a lot of big projects which are called to be successful right now, okay, were actually a lot of failed projects. For example, the San Francisco Bridge in 1936, okay, it's an iconic bridge, and a salute to that vision to build a bridge in that time, such a big one at such a high cost. It got escalated, and it had a huge escalations. But today, it is one of the very good examples of architecture. It's a very good example of durability. It's a very good example of vision in terms of how big the bridge is, and today also today it takes up so much of traffic. Okay, Burj Khalifa is another example that comes to my mind. It was actually a failure. They had to redo the entire architecture. They had to send it to some other person. The cost escalation is very high. No, so this examples, even I talked about India Sea Link, which is at Mumbai. Uh, the proposal was given in the Legislative Assembly, the State Assembly, 1967. It got approved in 1993. The budget was approved there. Then after 9 years, it got started. There were a lot of cost escalations, but I guess slowly we are recovering the money on that. A lot of these projects are actually failed projects. So definition of project success is very difficult to actually draw on the table. So this is one of the things has many good successful projects have discovered after the project has been delivered. Okay, right. Uh, so one of the things which I like to share with you all is about one of my implementations which I did for a large state government department. Uh, and no, I call this as a failed project for the reason that it didn't comply to the three traditional success measures of the scope, and the time and the cost. Okay, it was failed because one of the things that we didn't were not able to do is to find and get the right stakeholders in our first go. In the state government, it was the first implementation, and nobody had a good experience about uh, the, the government way of working. So we were coming all from a private background, and government workings had their own set of culture, their own set of protocols. We had only heard about them, but when we put our foot into the government corridors, we understood that it was not an easy journey. First of all, there were a lot of power centers in different departments. The job was entrusted to the Department of IT, which is actually not a powerful department in the government. Also, the Department of IT had hardly any people when we started out, and the job was given through the head of the IT. He was made a head as an additional charge. He was holding any other different unit, and therefore, no, as a functional organization where he was more concerned with his function than his additional function, he didn't give proper attention to this. So rather than finding, helping us with achieving the objectives, he was more concerned about how he can do his own major function properly, and that was his main priority. So, in short, he was a kind of a resistant stakeholder who 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 didn't want actually the project success to do that. So everyone had their own agenda to start with, and we came with a lot of minimum power. Okay, so there were a lot of things that we had to do. So we wasted a lot of time in this project. So after say a month or two, we realized that we are not engaging with the right stakeholder. So the first thing, we went back to the drawing board and tried to identify who is the right stakeholder, who are the people who are driving the IT, and can we actually map senior folks from our team to them to drive this change, because we were losing money on this, and it was a strategic initiative from our organization who were implementing the project. So no, this is a very long story, but the the things which we did in this were very primarily the basic things about the degree of power in the stakeholders and who are the right stakeholders. And then once we identified the right stakeholders, we saw from our organization who can be mapped to the stakeholders, because the mapping is very important in a state government. Okay, primarily if I was the project manager, I could not be the right mapping to say a IS officer in the state government. So I had to call upon a very senior director from my corporate headquarter office in Delhi to this to get a meeting scheduled with this. So the ego massaging or whatsoever, the mapping was pretty important. The right amount of exposure in terms of meetings, the engagement activity to build a trust and rapport at the senior level was very important to get this project going. Essentially, why I am talking about this project was to drive a couple of points in the stakeholder engagement. Now, the stakeholder engagement activities should be started even before, in my mind, even before the project starts. Okay, you need to have a lot of trust and rapport built with the stakeholders, and if you can start proactively before that, who are my right stakeholder, which is the mapping involved, can we actually have a get together, and try to build a bond. I think we can actually kind of lower the resistance in the project, because in any implementation you will always find a lot of unaware stakeholders. They are more concerned about their own thing, and they are not really aware about why this is a project happening in my organization. Okay, you will find 80%, in my opinion, who are unaware or neutral. Okay, they really are not aware about why there is a change, why there is a project which is being embarked in their organization. So these are the people, and any unaware person, once you try to educate, the first reaction that he is a resistant stakeholder. So you need to quickly transition from unaware resistant to supporting stakeholder. I think that's pretty important, and that cannot be done unless you engage effectively with the stakeholder. And for engagement, you should lay the ground before. Okay, I remember in one of my projects, which was in the IT sector, okay, and it was a foreign client, okay, in the US. So what they did was they had a workshop or an offsite, where it was my very early days in my career, and I thought that's wow, before even the project started, we are going on kind of a picnic and we are meeting everyone. I said that that's a fun time, but what we did was getting to know each other, and that really worked very well for the project. One of the things we did was to find a name for the project with all the stakeholders involved. I think that was a very good initiative from the customer project manager. So how to change from unaware to resistant to supportive is something I think as a project manager you should work on. So this is the stakeholder engagement matrix. So there can be different stakeholders that you have in your team. Okay, and these are the stakeholder types. Okay, the unaware, resistant, neutral, supportive, and leading. Okay, so there are 5 categories, and the C stands for, okay, the current state, and D stands for the desired state. So I think ideally you want everyone to be on the right side than on the left side. Okay, and therefore, no, like you said, the unaware tech needs 2 steps to go to the right side. Okay, and so you really need to work on that to get to the leading or the supportive stage. Okay, so sometimes what we do is a lot of engagement activities, right? One of the simple things, I'm just showing one of the activities, but there can be, many activities that you can work on. This is from the salience model, the stakeholder class. So you can have a dormant stakeholder, discretionary, demanding, dominant, dependent, dangerous, or definitive. I have put weights for that. Okay, depending on how much time it will take to get it to the leading or the supportive stage. And then I have put a score, like the number of steps like it takes. Like for unaware, it will go to resistance, and then it will go to the desired stage. Okay, so and then I multiplied and got some index, like you need to work really hard on the demanding and the dangerous stakeholders. So I have made this kind of the simple dashboard, and then you need to identify who are the stakeholders with whom you will like to work, and therefore what can be the engagement activities. The engagement activities, mind you, can be pretty simple. Okay, it can be even a meeting on a regular basis, like a status meeting, or it can be a very casual meeting outside your work hours, depending on what he wants and how, which type of stakeholder it is. Or it can be a group discussion, it can be an invitation to a seminar in your team where he can speak on his expertise. There can be various engagement activities that you can work out on this. Sorry about this. Right. So there can be n number of activities that you can have for the stakeholders. All right. So this is one of the simple things that I had done for one of my projects. Right. Um, any questions so far from anyone? And then probably I will talk a little more about engagement activities and other things. But any questions so far from anyone? Okay, I think we can reserve the last part of the questions for that. Uh, right. Okay. So there's there can be a lot of influencing success tips, right? Okay. No, and to each his own. Okay. And I think it just changes on the context, but I think this can be applied for a lot of projects that you may have. You can apply it to a lot of projects. I think. Any project management is based on the principle of being proactive. I think that really helps. I think you should know your stakeholders. You need to be proactive. When I say proactive, means you need to plan way ahead how to engage with the stakeholders. I think it goes without saying. It can't be, however smart you are, it can't be that you will engage with the stakeholders. I think the smartness lies with being proactive. You need to know who is my stakeholder, what are his needs and wants, know how he is networked, how he can influence others in the organization. You need to have some information about that guy. Okay, and therefore once you know what kind of stakeholder, what class or what power interest he has, how his network influences, then you can devise strategies. You know from which member of my team needs to communicate and what he needs to communicate. So I think that's something which you need to actually plan, and that will actually set the foundation for a lot of things. Okay, it can't be a reactive communication. Okay, no reactive communication, you're just dousing fire into one. You are not not in control of the stakeholder. He is controlling you, and that is not good thing for the project. No, so basically you are just dousing fire. You become a firefighter. I think that's not a very good sign about project. Second thing, I think it's pure, simply said, communicate and engage. Yes, as we call it, execute the plan. But I think in my experience, it is over communication and more that you engage. At least in the Indian context, I think it helps more than not. So I think you need to actually devise activities to engage with the stakeholder. No, you should plan it out stuff that how we can actually meet more often, develop that rapport to do that. Like one of the projects, we are doing in Bangalore. The stakeholder, the customer doesn't want us to travel to reduce on the travel cost. Ideally, I like to be on the customer premises, or for consultant to be in the customer premises. But they do not want us in the customer premises because to reduce the cost. Now we need to find a lot of ways to engage with them and have the rapport build up. Okay, so that they can actually open up in front of us. So how to do that is that, okay, we have formed a lot of engagement activities. We have put up some workshops at the on a go-to meeting where we want everyone to communicate. Thankfully we have a project manager from their side who also constantly helps to get their people more engaged from their side. So I think you need to do that. Like I said, you need to build that relationship, and rapport doesn't come on the first day. And I think you need to constantly, through your engagement activities, build a rapport to get the outcome. Okay. When I say it, it looks very simple, but it's the most challenging thing to have different stakeholders who are competing in nature, who want their own agenda fulfilled. So it's not going to be simple, neither easy. Okay. But if you work on simple foundation tactics, it's going to work for you. So what I also seen in stakeholder engagement is compromising. It's not all what you have in your mind, the plan. So you need to give away certain things for the stakeholder to work. You may have to bleed, and you might need to be ready for that, and to make the project work. Okay. Remember, it's a stakeholders project. You are a vehicle to achieve what they want in terms of the perceived value, what they want, and you are going to work on that. So aligning the project success on what they want, the perceived value, and making everyone on the same page. I think difficult task, but I think more or less, if you bring them on the same platform, okay, I think that's what it is. To bring them on the same platform, you need to know what is this project success all about, what are the project objectives that you're talking about, and you should be very clear about the business benefit plan or the sponsor's objectives for the project. Right? And the last thing is that you are accountable for this project. It's you who are driving it. No, you can't give up that the stakeholders are empowering you. It's your accountability to make it work. So whatever means. So remember that it's your project. Okay, you are going to give the value to the stakeholders. You need to be strict at times. You need to be compromising at times, and that's how you need to work it out. All right. Right. So I think I have mostly covered a lot of things, and I know that being a broad topic, I'm going to give my I tried to put it in the 40 minutes, and I'm going to have a couple of more slides, and then I'm going to open up for our question and answers. Just to tell you about our PMP certificate, that's our flagship program. We have the following dates in the coming months. Every month we have doing it in the 4 cities here. So that's what we do. Okay, that's our flagship program. Okay, also we do PgMP. PgMP is okay. on program management. We do it quarterly in every city because there are not many participants on the program management, but people, I think it's a upcoming field, program management. From academic point of view, also application point of view, we do conduct in different cities, which is Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, and Ahmedabad. And we also have, starting with PMI SAP, which is Agile certification with Mike Griffith. So I think that's one of the wonderful courses. And we are already doing, these are all physical courses where we go on site and do that. And then we are going to start with online as well. So MS project is one of the things where we do on corporate as well as on site as well. Right. So one of the things in nutshell, I think I have made it a point and to tell you quite a few times that stakeholder engagement are about the human resources with power, and they can make or break the project. It is one of the most challenging things or project management. Okay, so it does not only require your knowledge of project management, or once you do the PMP you are done it all. It requires the attitude, the interpersonal skills in abundance as well. Okay, so it is to engage with the stakeholders, saying what is right at that time, building the trust rapport relationship with the stakeholders. If you start doing things right, okay, I think, proactive is the key. Okay, and then employ the techniques of engagement activities, influence the stakeholders for success. I think your project will be successful. Okay, remember, okay, always that it's a stakeholders project. Okay, you are driving them to give the perceived value as they would imagine. Also, you're bringing them on the same platform, for example the unaware resistant, and getting them to lead the project. Okay, a tough topic, but we soon all, okay, experiment, okay, do the, whatever our tactics on the field and learn from that. But you can't be a reactive project manager. You need to be proactive with the stakeholders. So this is what I intend to have for today. Okay, I started at 8 o'clock sharp. We are 2040 in my watch. Okay, 2039 to be more precise. So I open up for questions and answers for the team here. So I am very happy to answer any questions. Yeah, there is one question from Preeta. Yeah, good evening, Preeta. It may not be always possible to agree with stakeholder. Is there a proven strategy gracefully disagree to get what is right for the project without affecting relationships? Yeah. So in stakeholder more so, with project management, there is not a right or wrong here, anything. But yeah. Yeah, you are right. It's not always possible to agree with the stakeholder. Neither I am saying through my presentation you need to agree with what stakeholders are saying. Okay, some stakeholders may have a very absurd demand about what they want, and that might not be possible. Uh, uh, no, that I don't know that if there is a proven strategy to gracefully disagree. No, to each his own. But I think one of the few things which I would like to repeat from what I just said is that, no, for every stakeholder, you need to build your credibility and the trust and rapport with that stakeholder. So you need to engage with the stakeholder given his position. Of course, if he's a key stakeholder, I would answer the question in the context of the key stakeholder. So you need to have that engagement activities and build the rapport and the trust, so that the gracefully disagreeing would be very nice. No, you can actually do that. So you need to play the foundation much better. Okay, that would not affect the relationship. Okay. Although after saying this, there is no right or wrong for answer, given their dynamics and situations in every project might be different. But this certain principles which I said about influencing may apply to a lot of projects. I hope to a certain fair degree your question is answered, Preeta. Right. Any other questions, anyone? Yeah, you're welcome, Preeta. Any other questions, anyone? Okay. Um, okay. Actually, with stakeholders, you need to ask a lot of questions. Okay. It's okay not to ask me. I'm all right with that. But with stakeholders, I think one of the engagement activities is to ask questions, and that to not being irritant, but no probe. What I mean is that probe and try to understand the stakeholders, and once you get the context right, I think you will be in a better position to help him out in his endeavor what he wants. Okay. And saying no is absolutely something we all need to learn. It's always good to say no. Okay. You may hurt some people, but I think as an afterthought it may work out. Okay. You can't make everyone happy at the same time. I think we all know that, right? Okay, so maybe you guys not have questions for me, but as an afterthought, you have questions, mail us at info@ProThoughts, and we will be happy to answer any questions, or call us, or some people have my number. You can call us anytime, and we are happy to engage with you and build a rapport with you. So anytime, this is one of the engagements that we do for you guys. So please be free to call us. We will be happy to help you guys. Okay. uh, just before we do this, just if you can just put a your kind of just put a your kind of a feedback for us, that should be good. So thank you so much. Okay, nice to have you here. And no, I hope you got something from your time that you invested. And no, anytime you can contact us. Very happy to help you. Okay, have a very good night, and thank you for again joining the webinar. Have a good day.